speaking of freedom and liberty, we wanted to invite another special guest on the show. Jim Ostrowski is with us. Jim, of course, a very well-known local attorney, one of the very few constitutional attorneys we have in Western New York. And, of course, we have all kinds of constitutional violations going on, whether it's freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. It's unbelievable what they have, what King Cuomo has done in this state. And so we wanted to have an opportunity to talk to Jim about some of the things that we're trying to do about it. So, Jim, welcome to the show. We appreciate your time.
Great. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate your support.
Jim, tell our listeners we're supporting you in filing a suit, right? I guess this is maybe breaking news, or we're going after the Cuomo and his band of buddies there to try to not only educate the public, but really try to hopefully stop some of this stuff going forward, right?
Yeah, we filed a broad-based challenge against the lockdown. We have a bunch of good, solid citizens. It's really a grassroots effort. We have a gun store, the Firing Pin in Batavia. We have a barber shop in Ithaca, and then a bunch of just regular citizens who are complaining about pretty much every aspect. We're complaining about the First Amendment being violated with the right to public assembly, interference with church services. In fact, I myself am a plaintiff complaining about the closing of my local Catholic church. We're complaining about the mask requirement. There's nothing wrong with wearing a mask. We're against the government mandating it. For closing down businesses without due process. But really, a lot of this is not so much those individual issues, but the basic issue that the governor cannot rule by decree. I used to watch the old Caesar movies, and Rex Harrison would bang his staff and issue some law, and that's how the Caesars ruled. And when I saw that happening, when I first heard about it, I was very disturbed because I've done a lot of research in the Second Amendment context about how you have collapsed democracies. You'll have a democracy, and all of a sudden there's an emergency, and then they allow somebody like Hitler or Mussolini to rule by decree. This has actually happened in history. Dictators don't just say, "Oh, I'm the dictator now." No, it happens through a gradual process. So I thought that was very disturbing, and I'm not doing a lot of federal litigation anymore. And after 37 years, it's time to have other people do it. But I made an exception here and put my name out there. My name's on the as a plaintiff. Mike Kuzma is a very solid civil rights lawyer, friend of mine. He's helping out. And then we really needed more help. You guys reached out, and I said, I'd love to pad my pockets, but frankly, I need another set of legal eyes. So you guys made it possible to bring on a great downtown firm. Ruff Boz, Tony Ruff is one of the main partners over there, and it's so complicated answering a brief of 3 different motions to dismiss by a very large law firm called the Attorney General's Office. And I had gotten everything pretty much done, but there was about 5 issues. I said, you guys are going to have to carry the ball in this, and they did a fantastic job. Short notice, filled in the gaps. We had 51 pages. When it was all copied and cut and pasted, the court only gave us 40, so I spent 5 hours trying to cut the fat out. We kept all the solid arguments in there. And so we filed a 40-page response to the governor and the attorney general and the state police, and that's pending with Judge Siragusa in federal court in Rochester.
Jim, you talked about the governor, cannot rule by decree. But what's amazing is, there's been some lawsuits, specifically the banquet facilities, and they won. And then the next day he comes in and takes their liquor license on them and basically shuts them down again, almost like, I don't care what the court says, we're putting you out of business.
Yeah, no, he doesn't go away quietly. So. That's why we need a broad-based ruling. If this is going to go to the Second Circuit, I don't know if we're going to win or lose. I do know that if we lose, we're going to the Second Circuit, where President Trump has appointed 5 judges on that court, and I think that court is changing in the direction of individual rights against big government. And we'll ultimately take this to the Supreme Court. So, I said on Facebook today, somebody said, well, I don't think you're going to win. The courts aren't the last word. The courts are the first word. But you got to go to court, and we will go to the appellate courts if necessary, or they'll go if they lose, certainly. We'll go to the Supreme Court if necessary. But if we lose it there, we'll win it in another venue in peaceful legal means. We can't, the rights are too important to say, well, some federal judge said, you don't have that right anymore. Well, I'm sorry. That's not the end of the story. That's the beginning of the story.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we're going to continue to help fund this, Jim, and push it forward. And people say to us, why are you doing this? Well, I'm doing this for my children, right? I'm doing this for my kids' right? This has got to stop, and you can't have a dictator that's ruling by decree and just saying, you're going to do what I tell you. Amazing, the CDC comes out with some pretty good news, saying, hey, look, the COVID's going away. It's mutating itself. We think you can travel now. And Andrew says, too bad. I don't like the CDC anymore.
Exactly. It's outrageous. Well, we're not fighting for us. I mean, we're having a record, year, actually. Yeah. We're fighting for you, for everybody else out there, for those business owners that are starving right now, that are losing their life's work, that are getting tossed around by a tyrant in Albany that is acting on a whim. I don't like your menu. I'm shutting you down. I don't like the fact that chicken wings are not a meal. And I mean, we're trying to do the best we can to put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, to try to fight for this community and New York State in general, for these business owners who, in a lot of ways, can't fight for themselves right now because, again, they're trying to worry about paying their mortgage and going to the grocery store, not fighting a legal battle against a Goliath.
Well, you guys deserve a lot of credit. Over the years, I wish we'd gotten more support from the business community, but you're stepping forward. But you know as well as I do, there's a lot of fear, and if you're in a highly regulated industry that you've already alluded to, they'll pull your license and, hey, I'm licensed, and you might think, oh, he's a big mouth, he's a big tough lawyer. Everybody who's got a license has some fear about coming forward, but this was too important. Like you say, my kids, I think, are a little older than yours. Daughter just graduated from college. We did the college graduation in the house. My son is an elite basketball player in college, and his season's been disrupted. We're stealing the lives of our youth, our young people. This has never happened before.
Yeah.
We don't have the right to do that. I'm a baby boomer. I had my youth. I mean, when I was 10, we had a flu that was about this bad. Nobody even mentioned it. It was Woodstock that year. So we can't we can't shut down society over this, and it hasn't worked anyway. In the brief that you helped fund, we pointed out there's no evidence that the lockdown is
zero. In fact, it seems to have made it worse.
New York locked down the most, and we've got the most deaths.
Jim, it seems to have made it worse, and Andrew Cuomo just can't figure this out. He's like, I'm shocked that 7 out of 10 people that got it stayed in their homes. They hid. They wore their mask. I can't figure this out. Now he's shocked again. He goes, you know what? This is amazing. We opened the economy, and the numbers got better. Wow, who said that would happen? Oh, yeah, we did. We did. You know why? Because other places opened and things got better. Hiding from it made it worse. Pretty easy to see. I think we can make the argument that they made it worse, not better.
Oh, they absolutely made it worse. I mean, Sweden, they do have some deaths over there. It was probably due to mismanagement of the nursing homes as in New York. But right now, basically the problem's disappeared there. Yeah. And they're going on with their lives.
Well, but to be fair, Sweden had like I don't know what I say, 5 or 10 million deaths this week for 10 million people, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's 10. I'm just going to assume that I think it was actually lower than that, but it's still less than a third of New York, right?
It was,
and
they
didn't do any lockdowns. They did none of that stuff. So, well, Jim, where do we go from here? Are we going to do updates on a regular basis, or what's the? I guess we just wait until we get our hearing.
What's the time frame?
Right?
If you
Well, there's no particular timeline, but I know the court realizes that this is an emergency application. We have a motion for a preliminary injunction pending, and probably going to update our papers on the injunction because the facts on the ground are changing rapidly. The evidence is showing that the lockdowns didn't work, and that we can open up. That the mask requirement is not necessary. If people want to wear them, fine. If not, that's fine too. So we're going to try to amend our papers with the permission of the court. But I think the Judge Siragusa knows that this is urgent, and hopefully we win. If we lose, we go right to the Second Circuit very quickly.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you
Awesome.
so much. I really do appreciate
Yeah.
you spending some time with
Thanks
us
for
today.
your
We'll
support,
definitely be bringing
guys.
you updates in the future.
Let me say this, Jim. Thank God bless you for what you're doing too. I mean, I
Yeah,
know we're funding some
absolutely.
of this stuff, but you're doing a lot of this stuff on your own, and we're a a help agent. But boy,
Yep.
this is really on you, man. And God bless
Thanks.
you for stepping up.
Thank you, Jim. That's Jim
Greatly
Ostrowski.
appreciate it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you so much. Jim Ostrowski, we'll be right back. Don't turn the dial. The Financial Guys Radio Network comes right back.